It's about time we share some major news we've been keeping from you.
Wait, are we actually ready though? Like,
Yes.
is this the video?
It is time.
Time
to
for
show
what?
that we are pregnant and this
Yes.
is our baby. You gotta
Yes.
show.
Oh, we gotta show.
Gotta
We gotta show.
Baby Perot.
You either guessed it or you came from my video for my channel, but
But I mean, the thumbnail might even show.
the thumbnail gave it away to all
But
of you
actually,
guys.
or maybe it didn't. I
Okay,
don't
we're
know.
teasing this so bad they want to
Okay.
know.
Anyways, well,
Yes.
that's the news. We are in fact pregnant.
And we're pregnant with triplets. Actually, no, I'm kidding.
I know.
Actually, just one. Just
So
one.
you can see that's just one baby on that
You
shirt.
see Allie's reaction though? She's like, "Wow, that'd be
I'm
something."
like,
Yes, but actually, our story is actually crazy. It's
miraculous.
literally one of the most miraculous stories. So, you guys just need to pull up a chair and get some popcorn
Because we're gonna have an amazing story time today.
And if you're a young couple who's thinking about kids or ever even struggled with infertility, this story is really going to resonate with you. So share with them what happened.
Basically, we got married about 2 years ago, and prior to getting married, we thought, we'll wait to have kids like maybe a year or two, just work on our relationship, all the things. But anyways, a few months into our marriage, we just decided, you know what? We actually don't want to wait.
I think it only was a month and a half where we said.
Yeah, it was a month. No, it was a month and a half. Yeah.
It was.
And so we, just decided to start trying to have kids, and it just wasn't happening. And
We were shocked, genuinely.
yeah.
That we didn't have, that you didn't get pregnant.
Well, yeah, because you grow up in school and they're like, everyone's so afraid of pregnancy, and it makes it sound like it happens so much quicker or it's a lot easier to get pregnant than it really is. I mean, it truly is a miracle for everything to align, because there's only like a certain like time slot period of time where like a woman is ovulating and actually can conceive and all that kind of stuff. And so that's something that we came to learn, and we just had months and months of negative pregnancy tests. And
how many tests did you take?
Oh,
it reached the
I don't
point.
even know.
And this was only like a couple months in. We were taking tests all the time.
Yeah.
And I had been.
Well, I was taking the tests.
Oh yeah.
Not you.
I was so excited and can't wait to see the positive. And then it was just negative. So much so that I reached the point where when you would take a test, I wouldn't even almost extend a hope anymore, because it was. Yeah. And it ultimately went to about 15 months that we were infertile.
18 months.
18 months, yeah.
18
so,
months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That period of time where like we had multiple negative pregnancy tests and just not a lot of good news. It seemed like something that I did personally, like I wanted to guard my heart through this process. I just wanted to renew my mind. And so I would just say things because I know the power of my words, the power of life and death are in the tongue. Yep. So I would just say, you know what? No, I'm not going to struggle to get pregnant. I will have children. I'll have them in God's perfect timing. And it actually really helped. Like, instead of allowing myself to go to a deep, dark place of when will I ever have kids and like getting mad at God, I just was like, no, God, I know that like this is a good thing that you have for your children, and you created me for this. So like it's just going to happen. And I just chose to have faith in that.
And we would rejoice when we found out our friends would get pregnant. And
yes.
we felt like all of our friends were getting pregnant. And then they would ask us, so how are you guys doing? And we would just be like, yeah, doing good. Like it was this tension and doubt really tried creeping in, like that we were doing this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. And we felt almost hopeless, honestly. I mean, we really felt at least tempted to fall into hopelessness, especially when you went to the doctor. Tell everyone what happened at that point.
Yeah. So I decided to go to the doctor because I kind of figured that maybe it was more so on me that we weren't getting pregnant, less about him, just because like my hormones and stuff had been like out of balance, and there had been signs for many years of that, and I just never really got it looked at. So did that, and she basically told us some really bad news. And she basically said like, you guys are going to have a hard time getting pregnant. She gave us a certain diagnosis.
She inferred that Allie was infertile.
Yeah. And then she said, in order to fix this, you're going to have to go on birth control, which
makes no sense. I was sitting there like, what?
Goes on birth control so that they can have a baby.
So that they, what gives them what prevents birth to give them birth?
Right. And here's the reality. Okay, yes, there is science that goes into it. I guess it can regulate your hormones, and then you can like ovulate at a certain time, and it's like more trackable. But to be completely honest with you, Like, I've never been a fan of birth control. I've never been on birth control. It has some really bad side effects. And while it can help certain things and mask certain symptoms, it can create a whole lot more damage in the long run that nobody really wants to talk about. But something that I've come to learn throughout this whole process is just the women's like whole like health industry, like they're so behind. Like there's so much they don't know. Like I had so many questions she didn't know how to answer. And like, I'm not coming at the doctor or anything. Like, she's only doing what she knows, and I forgive her and bless her. I'm not holding it against her, but it just was not a good experience.
Yeah, it's like it was literally like she saw everything, then she was like, okay, cool, let me prescribe something to you so I can get my commission.
No,
like,
honestly,
it was like, oh cool, glad to hear it. Like it was just so nonchalant. Like,
yeah.
But in that moment where here we are sitting as a young couple, we thought we'd have babies immediately, we were looking forward to it, and then we're being told this crazy thing. We were really on the verge of hopelessness, but we made a decision. I remember looking at you and just nodding my head, and I knew that the Lord would give us life. I had never really been afraid the entire time because I knew the Lord would send us our baby at just the right time, and that we had nothing to fear. And so we actually, you said to her, no, I'm not going to get on that.
I said, okay, do you have any other options, anything natural? And so she gave me a natural option. And then I went on to do my own research to figure out how to manage the diagnosis, naturally with exercise and diet and all these things.
Started walking by faith. We started talking about getting more space. We started planning.
Yeah.
We started,
more space in our home.
Yeah. We truly just planned out a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And you started taking prenatals as well, which they suggest you take before you get pregnant. They don't talk about that.
If you didn't know that, now you know. So beginning of January, we get the bad news, like, you guys are going to have a hard time getting pregnant. And I just knew deep down, I felt like the Holy Spirit almost told me, like, Allie, you're going to get some really bad news before you get the good news. So when she told that to me, I was like, no, I'm not fazed by that. I'm not going to receive that. It's going to be fine. And so anyways, I'm implementing all of these like new health things into my life, eating really healthy. They say like a ketogenic diet is like really helpful. So I like tried to do that. But for some reason, like some weird symptoms started popping up that didn't make any sense. Because when you're like living your healthiest life and you're exercising, you should be feeling great, right? But no, I felt terrible. And I would go to bed thinking about eating eggs in the morning, and I would be so grossed out by it. Like I would dread it, but I knew I had to eat it. And I was just like, what is going on?
And you were telling me, Gabe, I feel so bad. And I thought you had some pandemic or something, like some flu, some crazy thing.
No, I was literally about to like make a doctor's appointment just for like, the urgent care, because I was like, am I infected by something? Like, what is going on?
But here's what's crazy. We were at 2 meetings where you had someone come up to you. We were at Troy Brewer's church, and it was so amazing because we were there when? January?
Yeah.
And a woman came up to you. What did she say?
Yeah, she came up, prayed with Gabe and I.
This is before we ever found out we were pregnant.
Yeah, and then as she was leaving, she just like pulled me aside and she just said, do you guys have any kids? And I was like, no, not yet. And she was like, are you expecting any? And I was like, not that I'm aware of, but we'll welcome all the babies. And she just kind of looked at me like, like, are you sure about that? And I was
as if you were wrong.
I'm like, girl, how do you know more about me than I know about myself? What?
Little did she know.
Little did I know.
It gets crazier. So we're on our way to Tulsa, and on the flight, you're feeling horrible. Yeah. We get to the hotel. We're going to Joseph Z and Rick Renner's event. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. And we get to the hotel. You're just feeling so bad.
No, I literally like pass out on the bed, and I took like a 3-hour nap, which I don't take naps. That is not me.
And I'm just like, wow, this is interesting. And then the next day, a woman comes up to you. What did she say?
So we have a sweet friend named Mary, and she actually prayed over me, prayed for our future kids, like back in the summer. Didn't know what we were walking through. We didn't know about that like whole diagnosis yet. But just like gave me a lot of hope about like, you have future children, and like God is going to make you a mother. And
getting your hair on the mic
thanks.
For you. Keep going.
And so that gave me a lot of hope. And anyways, we saw her at this conference, and she came up and she was like, hey, I just wanted to see how you're doing. And I think what she wanted to know is like, hey, the things that I told you about, like, have they come to fruition in your life yet? So I was just like, oh yeah, thank you for your prayers. I really appreciate it. And so I didn't want to share with her, like, actually I have bad news. I don't have good news to tell you.
Little did Allie know.
Little did I know.
The same day she tells me to go get her pregnancy test.
because I was feeling so sick, and I have another friend that was at that conference who's actually pregnant as well. And when I saw
and her name is Allie as well.
Yes. And when I saw her, it dawned on me, wait, maybe the reason I feel so sick and I'm tired is that I'm pregnant. And so I'm like, Gabe, you need to go to the store and get a pregnancy test.
I'll be honest, it was just another test. In the back of my head, I was like, wow, this really could be the one. But
were you really?
I was truly, I had been so disappointed so many times at seeing so many pregnancy tests that were negative that I thought it was all fun and games.
Yeah,
seriously. I thought you were just
from
kind of
you.
playing with me almost.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh yeah, here we go. Got it. And then you took it the morning after, right?
Yeah.
And it was
the
early,
next day.
and it was early in the morning. And
Early in the morning, because they say it's more accurate.
and you're
to
like,
take
Gabe,
it in the
you're like, Gabe, get in here, get in the bathroom. We're about to look at it together. And I was just droggy and.
Well, it's like, okay, when you've been feeling sick for weeks, it doesn't matter what it is. You just want some answers. And so honestly, I was just like, I need my answer. I just need to know that I'm not going crazy and that hopefully it's pregnancy and not something else. And so I woke you up at like 6 a.m. We were exhausted. I mean, we were at a conference, the whole day before and traveling and everything. So we're exhausted. Unfortunately, we don't have the footage to show you just because you can just imagine what we looked like rolling out of bed. Someone might not have been wearing a shirt.
I will say this will tell you how disappointed I had been in the past that I didn't believe that it would be positive. I didn't even put a shirt on. She was filming it. I didn't even care because I was like, we're not going to use this footage. This isn't going to be positive.
He had low expectations.
Very, very low expectations. Sure enough.
Whereas for me, I had high expectations. I was like, no, I know I'm pregnant. That's what it is. We're in the bathroom. I have the test taken and we're like waiting for it to do its thing, waiting to turn it over. And we're like, okay, it's time to check. But the funny thing is, and you didn't see this, but before the like 2 minutes or 3 minutes that the test needs to take, I literally saw that pregnancy symbol like appear like immediately.
Oh, you already saw?
I'm pretty sure I like already saw it, and I like there was no doubt in my mind that it was going to say pregnant.
Oh, so like you had
it
seen
like
that
almost
it was
appeared immediately.
interesting.
Because I was like that pregnant.
Wow.
Because actually I was a lot of weeks in because
Wow.
I had been sick for so many weeks and didn't know. So anyways, we flip it over and I'm like, Gabe, do you see what that says?
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, wow. And then I thought you was pranking me. I thought you were making it up. And then I was just like, wow. And then I just went back to, this sounds bad, but I just went back to bed because I was tired at the time. But
we were
I was genuinely so excited, but I was also just like, cool. All right. Like I don't know. It wasn't really that surprising. Like we knew we were going to get pregnant. And as much as I describe myself as not expecting it, the truth of the matter is that I did know that we were going to get pregnant at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew the Lord was going to give us our baby at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to get my hopes up for that moment, if that makes sense.
You didn't want to be disappointed. Like
exactly. I didn't want to be disappointed, but I was expecting. It was but I just remember, I remember going back on the bed and just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this is so real. Here I am really about to be a father. You're about to be a mother. You already are a mother. I'm already a father. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not act like the baby just exists when it's born.
Right.
Like the baby's with us now. It's just so like, true. It's so crazy.
It really is.
How merciful is our God that he would entrust fertility to us. And I just felt so overwhelmed by his goodness.
Yeah. One, it's interesting because I think the way we're telling the story, it almost makes it sound like you weren't really that like excited about it. But let me just give you guys thrilled. Some like some insight to this guy right here. This man loves children. Okay. Like he was a ski instructor with kids when he grew up. Like he's so good with kids, loves kids. So like it really was, I think it was harder for you to see so many pregnancy tests than it was for me. And I think you maybe got a little more disappointment and a little more like feelings of hopelessness than I did. We didn't really like have a huge reaction like, wow, we were super excited. We were also exhausted and so relieved. And also in the back of our minds kind of, or at least for me, kind of knew that it was going to say pregnant anyways. And like our faith was already there. And so like when you're already thanking God for something that you don't already have when it comes, like you were already thankful. Yeah. So like it doesn't catch you as much by surprise. If that makes sense. Yeah.
And that's not us saying that we got pregnant only on our own abilities. Of course, like there's our part of pregnancy, but then there's God's part. And then like because seriously, you realize this when like there's a human being created in a womb just from a little tiny seed and an egg.
Yeah.
And you start to just see the miraculous power that God forms you in the womb. And you're just like overwhelmed because you're just like, wow, that was me one day.
Yeah.
And then for myself, I was supposed to die 3 years ago. I was in a coma for 18 days. And it's just so crazy that like I would not only be miraculously healed and wake up, and my fractured skull was brought back to life, but then I would be a father. Like, that's just so
it really is
amazing.
That's the power of God right there. And so like this baby is such a miracle, and like at the end of the day, like, yes, we did our part, but God does so much more. Like, yes, I have felt, pregnancy symptoms and thrown up and all the things, but it's God who is, knitting this baby in my womb, and like he is doing the miraculous. And to anyone who's struggling with infertility, or maybe, you haven't gotten married and you're getting up in years and you're, maybe worried like, oh, will I ever have kids? I just want to encourage you. There are so many other options out there. And like, there are children who don't have parents who've been given up for adoption. You can still be a mother or a father in someone's life, and make a huge impact in that way. And so even if you are facing a tough season, like, we want to encourage you that there are other ways to go about that, and to not lose hope, and to know that your value is not measured by how many kids you have and if your body is able to have kids or not. Like, that's not what it's about. But you are put on this earth to do good works, which God prepared in advance for you to do. And if parenting is on your heart, infertility does not have to stop you.
God isn't done with you, and you actually can father and mother children and adopt children and be their spiritual parents. We have a gender reveal for you guys, so subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see that video. By the way, I know you're wondering, you're like, tell us the gender. Not yet.
Details.
You've got to stick around for that. But we'll also say, people are asking like, hey, do you have a registry or anything like that? Did you make one? What are we doing about that?
Yeah, I'll just link it below if you guys feel led. No pressure. If you want to have a part in our baby's life in that way, feel free to check it out.
Yes, we would so appreciate it. If anyone ever has had a baby before, you know how overwhelming it can be. And so we want to give you guys the opportunity to help out if you would like. We have one more detail to share about this story that we didn't really go into details. And the Lord actually told us to go somewhere in November when we were struggling with infertility. And he told me that if we would go to this place and do this, that we would reap life, and that we would see the blessing of a baby come into our life. And we did it, and it was crazy. So if you guys want to watch that video to hear like the part 2 of this video almost, click the video link down in the description below, where you can head over to my channel, where it's really just us talking more details about the same story.
So we will see you over there.